And also, let me just begin my talk by extending an apology to this wonderful audience and also the people that are here. That is, our minister would have very much liked to be part of this engagement and engage you personally. You know the diaries of ministers, you know, they are being dragged in all directions. So hers was also, in a way, in conflict with this and something much more important, which she had to attend. Therefore, I'm extending this apology because she has asked me to do that, and apologies to you. It would have been nice for her to engage you directly than having me. You know, sometimes titles are important, as the doctors were demonstrating much earlier. The engagement that I'm going to be doing this morning, I'm going to be advancing a particular perspective. You know, as I think my title has said, I'm a chief director dealing with cooperatives. So I tend to really advance this particular aspect of work, which I believe that is the most important thing that South Africa must embrace and drive if we are to come out of the social crisis that we are in. We are a country that is facing high levels of unemployment, and 70% rate of unemployment is experienced by young people in this country. So we need to come up with some innovative ways to really make sure that such talent is not wasted. I mean, to have 25 people not working is a waste of talent, a waste of resources. So in that way, from a human resource point of view, from that way, we then want to advance the view that says that there is among all other interventions that are there, which this government is advancing, one that we think we want to very aggressively put forward to South Africa and argue for it, that if you look within the solidarity and the social economy, the Department of Small Business Development is promoting social collective entrepreneurship in South Africa, and we are inviting South Africans to embrace this. If we were to ask ourselves where are social entrepreneurs going to be found, we tend to find that, particularly if we can use women here as a case in point, 60% of members of cooperatives are women. So it tells you that social entrepreneur in South Africa is live and kicking, and women are at the forefront of driving it. And within the cooperative, what we call social collective entrepreneurship, which is the space where cooperatives find themselves, women are leading in that way, which means that they've got a spirit of collaborating, spirit of working together to advance things. And there is a realization that in order for us, we are dealing with mega resources. For us to be able to achieve greater things is to collectivize these mega resources, put them together to be able to achieve greater things. I mean, you know, sometimes I wonder, and I look at the northern countries, which is the developed countries of this world, and I have interrogated them deeply, and I find that there is a deep entrenched social collective entrepreneurship in those economies. United States of America, Germany, France, Italy, all these economies at the hub. Even China, for example, in the agricultural sector, the Chinese marketing cooperative that is there, which has been the apex board, which registers billions and, in fact, also trillions in South African rands of revenues every year. It's this collective social entrepreneurship. So, the department now, the new baby that is upon you, is promoting this kind of entrepreneurship. And we want to argue that South Africans, of course, individual entrepreneur is good. We've got classic examples of them, the Bill Gates of the world and the rest of the guys that have done that. That is not to say that it's not to be embraced. But we want to argue that also the the quickest way you're able to plug people within the social entrepreneurial space is to do it collectively. Then you get the strength with the others and working with them. And then in that way, you can then be able to bring our people very much quicker to the social entrepreneur, or what you call the entrepreneur space. So in that way, we say collective social entrepreneur is the way to speed up and shorten this particular challenge. Most people are fear to venture into entrepreneurship because in their gut feel they know it's very tough, and in their gut feel they know that if I don't make it, I don't have an income at the end of the month, and therefore most of them, they are very much not going there. That's why here in South Africa, our entrepreneurial rate in terms of the stats that we are given by this global statistics that always is carried out is very low when we're compared with the countries similar to South Africa. So we are arguing therefore that we need to be able to bring people within the environment that nurtures them, which is the collective social entrepreneur space which cooperatives provide. Communities have discovered, in our view, what the business sector has learned long time ago. There is nothing as powerful as a new idea in the hands of a first-class entrepreneur or a first-class entrepreneurs. Social collective entrepreneurs are a group of individuals with innovative solutions to society's most pressing social needs or social challenges. They are ambitious and persistent, tackling major social issues and offering new ideas for wide-scale challenges or wide-scale change, if you can put it that way, rather than leaving societal needs to the government. Because government, yes, is there to play, but government can't alone, ladies and gentlemen, solve our problems. Society must be busy, being actively involved in solving our social challenges. Or business sectors, social entrepreneurs find what is not working and try to solve problem by changing the system or spreading the solution and persuading the entire societies to move in different directions. So for us, we are celebrating, we're saying this colloquium must celebrate the social collective entrepreneurial spirit, social collective entrepreneurship as a very dynamic vehicle that we must promote to ensure that we bring our people forth into the space of entrepreneurship and bring them very fast and within the... I mean, for Europe to be able to be where it is today, it was hundreds of years. It's not about the issues that they were able to short-circuit. We have not time pleasures. Globalization is upon us. All the pressures of globalization were expected to be able to really not only just crawl, but to run with these big fishes. So we're going to have to be able to come up with mechanisms that enables us to be able to swim with these big sharks. They are very competitive. Their price that is are very low. China is just changing the world in terms of prices. So this is what our South African societies are asked to be able to challenge. They can only do it in our view through collective means, banding together, working together, and be able to do things together. And therefore, we must promote this animal called collective social entrepreneur spirit in South Africa as a very much a very embedding and also enhancing and learning environment for social entrepreneurs to emerge. Social collective entrepreneurship often seems to be possessed by their ideas and then committing their lives to changing the direction of the field. And they are visionaries. We believe that is, you're going to have to be visionary in this space, but also realist. And our ultimate concern with the practical implementation of the vision above all else. So that is what we want to promote and ensure that our people are in that particular space. Social entrepreneurs present what we call user-friendly solutions, understandable and ethical ideas that engage widespread support in order to maximize the number of community members that will stand up, seize the idea, and implement it. Leading social entrepreneurs are mass recruiters of local change makers. And we believe that role models proving that communities who channel their ideas into can also do almost anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I think through social collective entrepreneurship, our communities can do anything. Where there is no bread, they can start and create a bakery. Where there is no clinic, they can even bring a clinic about. Where there is no energy, they can be able to do energy. I mean, we've got Bangladesh, for example, communities, cooperatives are in the front line of providing energy to those communities. And this is through what we call collective social entrepreneurship. That is the spirit that is there that we must inculcate to the South Africans. A cooperative, therefore, which is a vehicle for this kind of social entrepreneurship, is, in our view, an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet the common economic, social, and cultural needs, and aspiration through a jointly owned entity, which is owned democratically by the members. In fact, there was a session by the program director that, social enterprises promote democracy. I said that they are the breeders of it. If you are in a social entrepreneur environment, you live, you breed, you eat democracy, because everything is about transparency, it's about consultation, it's about collective decision making. There is no individual who makes all decisions for the rest. Everyone has come back and consult. So you then inculcate a culture of democracy. Therefore, democracy is built there. And I can assure you that South Africa will be in good standing in its new democratic dispensation within this form of enterprises. A cooperative is owned and controlled by their members and not by outside investors. Co-op members elect their board of directors from within their membership. So, democracy lives. It's not something that is idealized, but it is practiced. Cooperatives are motivated not by profit, but by the service to meet their members' needs or affordable and high-quality goods and services for their members. And invariably, there is a spillover effect to the community at large where they find themselves benefiting from those particular services that the cooperatives are providing. Central to the legal concept of a cooperative or a similar self-help group is its obligation to promote the economic interest of its members. This is very key. And in doing that, it also enables that it can then be able to spread those benefits to the community where it finds itself. Therefore, in our view, we believe that the cooperative model of enterprise can be applied to any business activity. Cooperative exists in traditional economic sectors such as agriculture, consumer services, banks, housing and production. That's where you find worker cooperatives located in that space. Therefore, there is the one that is not known, which is called shared services cooperatives, which we believe it needs also to be put forward. South Africans are not knowing this form of cooperatives, which is found in food retail, manufacturing, pharmacy, insurance, funeral, healthcare, energy, and all these sectors is outlined. Cooperatives provide opportunities for small business to be able to survive in a world dominated by capital and globalized markets. We are asked, ladies and gentlemen, to swim with the big fishes. We're gonna have to do it in a manner that is intelligent, where we are able to agglomerize our resources that are limited and be able to stand the competition which seeks to decimate us and make us not to be able to play a meaningful role in the economy. So we argue in this department that we're gonna have to promote this form of collective entrepreneurship to enable our people to withstand such huge competition, huge particular challenges. It's very huge. It's not to be underestimated whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen. There is a strength here. Here is a strength. Business that is owned by and controlled by the people who use its services. The people who use the cooperative are those who control that cooperative. The people who own and finance the cooperative are those who use it. So, I've forgotten about changing all these things because now I got caught up into these things. I've forgotten about that. You'll forgive me. Technology and me do not mix very well. Provide opportunities for small actors to survive, well dominated by capital and globalized markets. Improve bargaining power when dealing with other business. And of course, reduce cost and obtain products or services otherwise unavailable, and then obtain market access or broaden market opportunities. And then, of course, improve products or service quality and increase income and provide jobs, and then of course mobilize savings and provide cheap funding through collective savings, reduce cost of capital. Today is the biggest thing here in South Africa. The cost of capital is higher. People cannot access it. So this is something that we need to be able to do. There are principles there that governs this. This form of collective entrepreneurship is there about 7. Very clear, voluntary and open membership, meaning that who wants to be part of this must be invited in and must be accepted. He can only or she can only be rejected on economic reasons if it's going to hurt that particular enterprise. Democratic member control, and then of course member economic participation and autonomy and independence, education, training and information. That's another one. And then cooperation among cooperatives, and then concern for community. These are core fundamental principles. As you could see, they are fully embedded within social solutions, ladies and gentlemen. They are embedded within our social economy. They are concern for communities. Which business can tell you that it is concern for businesses? The first, you read the literature, they'll tell you that the first objective of this business is maximization of shareholder value. That is what you get in the other side of the fence, is maximization of shareholder value. But this one sets as a principle, concern for community. There could not be a better social enterprise than this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to argue here. The values, self-help, self-responsibility, democracy, as I've emphasized, equality, equity, and of course solidarity. This is the solidarity economy. Cooperatives are anchored within the solidarity economy. Ethical values of honesty, openness, social responsibility, and caring for others. And then, of course, we have put together as government an act. And we believe that within this act, we must put a very good instruments of good governance. This has to be there. So, Cooperatives Amendment Act requires all cooperatives to comply with the prescribed principles of good governance for cooperatives, and also this we see it as a king code of cooperatives to enhance good governance within the cooperatives. The aim is to improve good governance and the cooperative identity. Principles of good governance will clarify the roles and responsibilities of managers, directors, members, and assist with compliance to the law and enhance accountability and ensure sustainability of the business. Principles of good governance drafted and discussed with strategic partners are already been done. We're just waiting. We're engaging on a minister to give us a date at any time to publish them, so that all of you, ladies and gentlemen, with such wonderful minds you have, you could then be able to advise us how to be able to strengthen them further, where we have omitted or certain particular areas are still the shortfalls, so that we can close that. And then there will be the documents that governs good governance in that space. Now, we have provided support, but we still want to develop it further. But for now, we have an incentive scheme that is available for starting a cooperative, 100% grant. It used to be 80-20. We used to say it 80-20 formula. We killed the 20. We say no, 100% grant. We want to give it to those who are engaging in a space of collective entrepreneurship. Help them. And then we have also come up with a new one, which is called the Secondary Marketing Incentive Scheme, 100% grant funding as well there. And then, of course, there is an incubation support. There is business support services that we want to provide. And then, of course, education and training is key for us. My professor here, one of the doctors, was saying, the key to entrepreneurship, we must make sure that education cannot be, but must be in the front line of this. We could not agree more with you, doctor, as you have spoken here with such wonderful words. And then, of course, the other area is, for us, is the structure. It looks like this. We have now, it used to be 3-tier, now we're talking 4 tiers. And that's what we've promoted in the Cooperative Act, so that we can allow a very well representativeness within the cooperative space. But I must say, ladies and gentlemen, Apex and tertiaries are more in the front line of lobbying. They're not more in the front line of business. They're more in the front line of lobbying, and then also engaging on the political space to make sure that they hold us policymakers to be able to be in line. Where business is located is on the two base, secondary and tertiary. That's where we see actual real work being done. So that's how it's going to be. All right then. The differences between ourselves in the social space and the other side of our business is that for this collective entrepreneur vehicle, member needs or service-driven. That's what is primary to it. Profit-driven is subordinated to the needs of the members. Member ownership is the key. Investor ownership on the other side, shareholder value is the key. One vote per member, irrespective of number of shares and usage. Number of votes depends on exactly shares you own. So the more you have, the bigger share, the more you are a one voice that makes the decision. So if you are 80%, maybe, the rest are just listening to you. That's the essence of the story. Yes, of course, there's a law called protection of minority. But at the end of the day, the game is that with the bigger shares, 80%, my voice will always prevail there. Management, responsible to members ensuring their needs are met. Management responsible to investor by increasing shareholder value, as I've already talked about. Choice of shareholding or non-shareholding is available. Changing value of shares, no limits on share ownership. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude by saying, as the department, this is the institutional mechanism we are envisaging in driving this particular area of work. Some of the things are sitting outside within the department, which we are going to be working with them through what we call the transversal agreements, but others are going to be within our control. So, as you could see, here is the ministry there. There will be a cooperative academy, Department of Higher Education, we're working with them so that we can bring that about. Cooperative Development Agency there is going to provide finance and non-financial support to cooperatives. Cooperative Advisory Council, it advised the minister by making policy recommendation on matters of cooperative development. Cooperative Tribunal, which provides support in the area of conflict resolution, and it also assists in terms of reviving those failed enterprises, which maybe might have failed because of financial mismanagement or otherwise. And then, of course, there is what you call the Cooperatives Banks Development Agency, which is brought about by the Cooperative Banks Act, and it sits within National Treasury. This is how things looks like in the space of cooperatives from an institutional framework arrangement. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you, I want to thank you, and I want to say to you that we are for the social entrepreneur, and this department is for that, and it is driving it, and this is what we live, and we're going to be breeding. Of course, there's small business, but we see small business going to benefit from the cooperatives, as I've already alluded to you, where we're going to mobilize them under the cooperative banner and make sure that they can withstand the competition with the big fishes. I thank you very much.